Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk about a truth that has been evident since the beginning of time. There are forces in this world that build up, and there are forces that tear down. There are people who bring light, and there are those who thrive in darkness. The world has always been filled with both good and bad people. But make no mistake, bad people do not always come with a warning label. They do not announce themselves with a flashing red light. Instead, they move in secret, hiding behind smiles, disguising their true nature. And if we are not careful, we can be deceived, we can be misled, and we can fall into their traps. What are the signs of such people? What makes them dangerous? First, they are masters of deception and manipulation. They twist words, they distort truth, and they make wrong seem right. They promise what they will never give. They pretend to care, but their hearts are cold. They use others for their own gain and discard them when they are no longer useful. Second, they lack empathy. They see suffering and remain unmoved. They can walk past a person in need and feel nothing. They do not care about the wounds they inflict, the relationships they destroy, or the pain they cause. Their hearts are hardened like stone, and mercy is foreign to them. Third, they are filled with arrogance and pride. They see themselves as above others. They think they are smarter, stronger, and more deserving. They refuse correction, reject wisdom, and believe they answer to no one. Their pride blinds them, and in the end it leads to their downfall. And fourth, they are a destructive influence. Wherever they go, trouble follows. They encourage dishonesty, division, and hatred. They lead others away from the truth, dragging them into the same darkness in which they themselves are trapped. But friends, there is hope, because just as bad people exist, so do good people. And just as deception spreads, so does truth. We do not have to be victims of wickedness. We do not have to fall for their schemes. We can open our eyes, recognize these signs, and choose a different path. So I ask you today, will you be blind to the reality around you, or will you stand firm in truth? Will you allow yourself to be misled, or will you walk in wisdom? The choice is yours. Choose wisely. Deception and manipulation are among the clearest signs of a bad person. They do not deal in honesty, nor do they walk in truth. Instead, they twist words, distort reality, and make wrong seem right. They promise what they will never give, pretending to care while their hearts remain cold. Their words are smooth, their actions calculated, and their intentions hidden behind a mask of false kindness. Such people are skilled at making others doubt themselves. They plant seeds of confusion, making good appear evil and evil appear good. They exploit trust, using it as a weapon rather than a bond of sincerity. They weave lies so effortlessly that even the sharpest minds can be misled if they are not careful. And why do they do this? Because deception gives them control. A bad person does not lead with love, but with manipulation. They seek to bend others to their will, not through honesty or fairness, but through deceit. They use guilt, fear, and false promises to get what they want. And when they have taken all they can, they move on, leaving behind only broken trust and wounded hearts. If you have ever met such a person, you know the damage they can cause. They rob people of peace. They turn friends against each other. They destroy relationships, families, and even entire communities, all while pretending to be innocent. But their deception does not last forever. Truth will always rise, and in the end, their lies will be exposed. A bad person walks through life without feeling the weight of another's pain. They see suffering, but it does not touch them. They hear the cries of the broken, but their hearts remain unmoved. Compassion is a foreign language to them, and kindness is something they only pretend to understand when it benefits them. You can recognize them by their coldness. When others are in need, they turn away. When someone reaches out for help, they respond with indifference. They see people not as human beings with emotions and struggles, but as tools, objects to be used and discarded. If an action does not serve their interests, they feel no obligation to act. If a word of kindness does not bring them personal gain, they remain silent. This lack of empathy allows them to hurt others without remorse. They lie without guilt, betray without regret, and inflict wounds without a second thought. They can watch a friend suffer and feel nothing. They can hear of injustice and not be stirred to action. Their hearts are hardened and no amount of pleading, reasoning, or love seems to reach them. But make no mistake, such people are not strong. They are empty. They may appear confident, powerful, even successful, but inside they are hollow. For what is a person without love? What is a life without care for others? They may gain everything the world has to offer, but they have lost the very thing that makes life meaningful. And in the end, their emptiness will be their undoing. The bad person is often filled with arrogance and pride, believing themselves to be above others. They do not listen to advice, nor do they accept correction. To them, humility is a weakness, and admitting fault is unthinkable. They walk with an air of superiority, convinced that they are always right, always deserving, always the most important person in the room. They look down on others, quick to judge, quick to dismiss, and slow to acknowledge anyone else's worth. They believe their knowledge is unmatched, their success is purely their own doing, and their opinions should never be questioned. They do not celebrate the achievements of others, but instead feel threatened by them. They crave recognition, yet refuse to give it. They demand respect, yet fail to show it. Their pride blinds them to truth. They refuse to see their own flaws, no matter how obvious. When confronted with their mistakes, they shift blame. When offered wisdom, they scoff. Even when their arrogance leads them into failure, they refuse to admit that they were wrong. But pride is a trap, and arrogance always leads to a fall. No matter how high a person lifts themselves, there will come a day when they stumble. And when that day comes, the same people they once dismissed, the same voices they once ignored, will be the ones watching as their false strength crumbles into nothing. For true greatness is not found in self-exaltation, but in humility. And those who refuse to learn this lesson will one day learn it the hard way. A bad person does not just walk in darkness, they spread it. Their influence poisons everything it touches, leaving behind division, confusion, and pain. They do not build, they destroy. They do not bring peace, they create conflict. Wherever they go, trouble follows, not by accident, but by design. They encourage dishonesty, turning lies into normal conversation. They stir up gossip, setting people against each other with whispers and half-truths. They take joy in watching others stumble, sometimes even pushing them toward failure. They plant seeds of doubt in minds that were once certain, making people question what they once knew to be right. They are not content with simply living in corruption. They want to drag others into it with them. Their influence is often subtle. They may appear charming, friendly, even generous at times. But over time, their true nature is revealed. The relationships they touch become strained. The groups they join become divided. The people who trust them end up hurt, used, and discarded. The wake of their presence is filled with brokenness, but destruction never goes unnoticed forever. Eventually, the truth is exposed. People begin to see the pattern, to recognize the damage, to realize the source of the turmoil. And when that moment comes, their power fades. For no matter how much darkness they spread, the light will always overcome it. Those who build will stand strong, while those who destroy will find themselves standing in the ruins of their own making. Speech, bad people have these 9 signs, ladies and gentlemen. The world we live in is filled with both good and bad. From the beginning of time, there have been those who uplift, and there have been those who tear down. And while bad people do not always reveal themselves openly, Their actions, their words, and their character leave behind undeniable signs. These are the people who thrive on deception and manipulation, twisting truth for their own gain. They care nothing for the pain they cause, showing no empathy to those who suffer. Their arrogance blinds them, making them believe they are above correction, above others, even above consequences, and their influence. It is destructive not just to themselves, but to everyone around them. They bring division, they stir up conflict, and they lead others away from what is good. But the question today is not just about recognizing these signs in others. It is about guarding ourselves against them. It is about standing firm in truth, refusing to be deceived, refusing to be manipulated, refusing to be pulled into the darkness they create. We must not allow their words to cloud our judgment. We must not allow their coldness to harden our hearts. We must not allow their arrogance to make us doubt our own worth. And above all, we must not let their destruction become our destruction. Instead, we must choose a different path, a path of honesty, not deceit, a path of compassion, not indifference, the path of humility, not pride, a path that builds rather than destroys. Because in the end, bad people will always be exposed for who they are. Their lies will crumble, their pride will be humbled, and their influence will fade. But those who walk in truth, those who choose what is right, will stand strong. So I ask you today, what kind of person will you be? Will you be blind to the truth, or will you open your eyes? Will you follow the path of deception, or will you walk in wisdom? The choice is yours, and it is a choice that will shape not only your life, but the lives of those around you. Choose wisely.